The Holy Land sits at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa. This is well illustrated by the 16th century AD Bunting map, which depicts the three continents of the Old World as three leaves of a clover, with Jerusalem as the center. The most common historical names for what the Crusaders called the Holy Land is Canaan, Israel, and Palestine. Canaan is the oldest name for this region. Later, after David became king, he called the fledgling nation Israel, after the 10 northern tribes. After Jesus' lifetime, the Romans changed the name to Palestine, in reference to the Philistines, who were Israel's arch-enemies in the early days of the monarchy. Palestine remained the primary name for the Holy Land from the 2nd century AD until 1948, when the modern state of Israel was founded. If you have never been to Israel, most are surprised by how small it is. The modern state of Israel is only equivalent in size to New Jersey. Yet how much history took place here? While biblical Israel expanded and contracted in size during its history due to changing political circumstances, the heartland was always the same, 150 by 50 miles in size. 150 airline miles from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south is roughly the distance from Palm Springs to Santa Monica Pier. And 50 miles wide from the Mediterranean coast to the Jordan River is around the distance from APU to Long Beach. A small country indeed. Not only is Israel small, but the topography is simple. There are 6 geographic zones, 4 north-south and 2 east-west. Let us first examine the 4 north-south zones from west to east, left to right on the map. Zone 1 along the Mediterranean Sea is the coastal plain. Zone 2 is the hill country. Zone 3, the Jordan Valley. And Zone 4, the Transjordanian Plateau. The first 3 zones lie within the modern state of Israel, while the 4th zone is in the Kingdom of Jordan. If we were to take a knife and cut the country in half at midpoint, you would see the following profile. A relatively flat coastal plain running up to the hill country where Jerusalem sits. Down the other side into the deep trough of the Jordan Valley where Jericho and the Dead Sea are located. And back up to the Transjordanian Plateau. To give you a sense of the difference in elevation, Jerusalem is about 2,500 feet above sea level, while the Transjordanian Plateau is about 1,000 feet higher. The Dead Sea in the Jordan Valley is 1,300 feet below sea level. Thus, in a distance of 20 airline miles from Jerusalem to the western shore of the Dead Sea, there is a 3,300-foot drop. One final thing about Israel's topography. Before the creation of the present-day Jordan Valley, the hills continued across from Zone 2 to Zone 4. Zone 3, the Jordan Valley, is actually a small segment of the largest tear in the Earth's crust on dry land. This tear is the Great Syro-African Rift, stretching some 4,000 miles or 6,000 kilometers in length from eastern Turkey, through Syria, Lebanon, Israel. The Rift Valley then continues down the entire length of the Red Sea to a point at the bottom where it meets the Indian Ocean. Here the rift splits into 2 branches. One branch continues off the map into Ethiopia and Central East Africa to end at Lake Malawi. The other branch runs along the southern end of the Arabian Peninsula and up the Persian Gulf. As shown in the illustration on the right, a rift is created when parallel cracks develop in the Earth's crust. The 2 sides then pull apart, and the middle part slowly drops down over time to form a deep trough. This is the Jordan Valley that one sees today. In Israel, the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea are at the bottom of the Rift Valley. In the next 2 slides, we will take a closer look at the Sea of Galilee in the north and the Dead Sea in the south. The Sea of Galilee is 13 miles long by 7 miles wide at its widest point. It is the lowest freshwater lake in the world, at 700 feet below sea level. This is the same Sea of Galilee where Jesus ministered while living in Capernaum, a few miles up the shore from where this picture was taken. The Dead Sea is larger than the Sea of Galilee. It is 50 miles long by 10 miles wide. At 1,300 feet below sea level, the Dead Sea is the lowest point on the face of the earth. The salinity of the Dead Sea varies between 25 to 30%. This is why you can float without effort. For comparison, seawater has a salinity of around 3 to 6%. Let us now begin to wrap things up. In addition to the 4 north-south zones, there are 2 east-west zones. In the north, you have Zone 5, the Jezreel Valley, also known as the Valley of Armageddon. In the south, you have Zone 6, the Negev of Judah. Since the town of Beersheba is located in this valley, some call it the Beersheba Valley. The main city of the Jezreel Valley in the north is Megiddo. This is an aerial photo of the ancient mound or tell of Megiddo. After it was destroyed in Old Testament times, Megiddo became a barren hill that people called Mount Megiddo, or in Hebrew, Har Megiddo. This is the origin of the New Testament name of Armageddon, correctly pronounced in Greek as Harmageddon. The New Testament is written in Greek, so when they rendered the Hebrew name into Greek, they added an N at the end of Har Megiddo to spell Harmageddon, or as we pronounce it today, Armageddon. According to Revelation 16:16, Armageddon is the site of the last great battle of human history. As part of this lesson, you will need to remember 3 principal biblical cities. From north to south, they are Dan, Jerusalem, and Beersheba. You can easily locate Jerusalem on a map by finding the northern end of the Dead Sea and going due west. You will also need to remember the name of the 3 famous Transjordanian kingdoms mentioned in the Bible: Ammon in the north, Moab in the middle, and Edom in the south. We end this lesson today with this picture from outer space of the 3 regions that we will study most in this class. There is Egypt on the left, the triangular-shaped Sinai Peninsula, framed by the so-called rabbit ears of the Red Sea in the middle, and of course, Israel above. Thank you for your time and attention.